The penultimate episode of Fellow Travelers takes place amid the idyllic Fire Island Pines and a chaotic San Francisco inn. 1979, almost entirely in episode 6 of the critically praised Showtime series, Fellow Travelers, we follow a passionate and vocal Tim as he heads to federal prison after the show's first 5 episodes covered the political landscape of the Lavender Scare episode. 7 White Knees begins during the widely reported killings of San Francisco Mayor George Mosome and Harvey Milk, which sparked widespread demonstrations after the murderer, Dan White, was only charged with voluntary manslaughter rather than first-degree murder. In the 6th episode of Fellow Travelers, Jackson Hawk's intellectual but impulsive young adolescent was introduced. He had displayed signs of struggle with his identity development and a propensity for drug experimentation in episode 6, which took place in 1968. Hawk, who had abandoned his future with Tim to conceal his sexual identity beneath the cover of a stereotypically traditional American Amish family, had been informed of Jackson's problems. Tim, who was running from the law after destroying draft cards, had a connection to Jackson that Hawk had never had. This was especially true because Tim tried to show Jackson that he was interested in him, something Hawk had not done as a father. Tim and Frankie, both social workers at the Castro Mission Health Center in San Francisco, in May 1979, Tim has been inundated with inebriated phone calls and mails from a struggling Hawk who has experienced a terrible family tragedy. Tim phones Lucy to offer his condolences and, in essence, to get permission to visit Hawk at his Fire Island Pines, New York vacation home. Although she has ejected Hawk from their house due to his alcohol drinking, Lucy claims she has no idea where Hawk is. She just knows he was someplace in New York. Tim finally arrives at Hawk's stunning Fire Island vacation house. After several invitations, it should come as not surprise that Hawk has surrounded himself with all the hedonistic kinds of escape that a person of his wealth and charisma could possibly require. Tim, who's obviously been through a lot with his job and his stint in jail, awkwardly walks into a group of gay men who seem to be partying all the time. When Hawk shows up, the two get back together for the first time in 11 years. That is, they haven't spoken since Tim's release from prison. Tim tells Craig, Hawk's new romantic partner, that Hawk is grieving deeply on the inside due to Jackson's death from a heroin overdose, even though Craig understands that Hawk seldom talks about his family. He tells Tim that Hawk has placed a claim on him and is controlling Hawk's drug use to maintain the never-ending party. Craig also acts as though he knows everything about Jackson. Tim is aware that although Hawk seems to appreciate Craig, Hawk is really using Craig as a crutch to escape his domestic duties and his overwhelming sense of remorse over Jackson's death. Craig is aware that the fun will end when Hawk returns to reality. In an effort to keep his job, as he puts it, Marcus has assumed a new person as a professor at San Francisco State University while maintaining his heterosexual male identity. Hawk's life, or rather 2 lives, have been governed by the same premise, but Marcus's student Jerome sees right through Hawk's facade. A classmate makes fun of Jerome for defending Harvey Milk, and he feels let down by Marcus's lack of support. Frankie raises concerns about Marcus's continued fear of coming out as his true identity to the public. Later in the episode, Hawk throws his gang of hedonistic men out of the house for the evening and prepares a romantic dinner for him and Tim to catch up over. Tim reveals to Hawk that he was only incarcerated for 1.5 years for the incidents shown in the 6th episode of Fellow Travelers. Following his release, Tim worked as a social worker in San Francisco. To stay updated by your favorite series, shows, or movies, subscribe and press the bell icon. Also like and share our videos with your friends and family.